ball with. Drake! Look at the aim! Go!
Welcome to episode 10 of the Predictors podcast, recorded on November 4th. This week, we're diving into the exciting highs and challenging lows of Week 9 in the 2024 NFL season and making some predictions for Week 10. I'm your host, Jay Rock, and as always, we got our MVPs, most valuable podcasters, the orthopedic wizard and expert himself, Dr. Preventure, who's seen it all as the Patriots head surgeon, the legendary GOAT, Zajac, joining us all the way from California, and our very own Nate Dogg, the predictor extraordinaire. Together, we'll discuss who's facing injuries this week and who might emerge to take on the competition. But first, let's jump right into the Rodzone. I got a lot of great hits for you guys today here on the Rodzone. First off, I got to shout out the Carolina Gamecocks, absolutely going ham against Texas A&M, a 7-2 team. A lot of people didn't think we could do it. Vegas didn't think we can do it, but Shane Beamer and the boys made it happen. It's been way too long since I've seen that field get stormed. A beautiful night for the boys Saturday night in Columbia. Devontae Adams is getting in tune with that Jets offense. He's finally gotten his first touchdown with Aaron Rodgers, and they were able to beat the Texans. CJ Stroud was unable to complete even a single TD pass the entire game, but what's to be expected when he's missing those weapons in Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins? Puka Nacua and Brian Branch were both ejected from their games this week, but both teams were able to pull out the wins at the end. You love to see that, but you hate to see possibly some soft ejections. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders are 7-2 for the first time since 1996. Commanders Nation, stand up. This is the best year you guys have had since Tupac was alive. Drake May tried to keep hope alive for the Patriots, scrambling in the back at the very last second of the game, was able to toss it into the end zone and luckily get a reception. But that same arm that threw that beautiful pass to get them into OT took them right out of it as he threw an interception on their first drive, completing the loss for the Patriots. Dak Prescott was caught on camera seemingly telling a teammate, "We fucking suck." You hate to see that, but Jerry Jones, the owner, is not feeling that same way. He thinks the Cowboys still have what it takes to make it maybe even to playoffs, if not at least just show the world that the Cowboys are not to be doubted. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens absolutely fired up after losing to Jameis Winston and the Browns last week, and they showed the Broncos what they had. Lamar Jackson went absolutely off, going for 280 yards and 3 TD passes, and Bo Nix himself got his first touchdown catch of the year. You love to see that. Are the Lions the best teams in the NFL right now? Dan Campbell definitely thinks so, and they are putting up stats that back that up. The Sonic and Knuckles running back duo is absolutely fantastic. Gibbs did not touch the field the entire first quarter, but they were able to still put up amazing numbers and get the dub that day. The Jags tried to make a comeback at the end of the game against the Eagles, but they were unable to clinch the dub. And as we all saw, Saquon Barkley is showing why he is worth every single penny of that $37 million signing, scrambling, running, and making defenders look stupid, and then pulling a reverse hurdle. I've never seen anything like that. I don't know if you guys have ever seen anything like that, but that blew my mind. The Panthers and Bryce Young also were able to pull out a dub against the Saints, and with that loss, Derek Carr has officially lost to 31 teams in the NFL. And on December 29th this year, when they play against the Raiders, we could make it 32 teams, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to head right into the new injuries of the week. All right, jumping right into the new injuries of the week. Doc, we got Dak Prescott. Hamstring injury for the Cowboys. This is not what they need. Do you know anything about this?
I didn't think it was that bad when it started at first. He was trying to work through it, didn't really take himself out right away. I don't know about this one. We'll have to see. He said it was something different, didn't feel right. But again, the NFL hamstring thing we covered extensively. Follow this story at thepredictors.com. We're going to watch this one for Dak. I don't know if he's going to be ready this week, but we'll see. We're going to have to watch this very closely.
Dangerous game for the Cowboys to be playing against the Falcons without Dak Prescott. Will Anderson, defensive end for the Texans. Nate, how's he looking and what's going on?
Yeah, J-Rock, he's one of the best pass rushers in the league right now, and he's averaging almost a sack a game, but he left the game on Thursday night against the Jets, didn't come back after halftime. Doc, what do you think of this injury after the video review?
Yeah, the video was a little bit tough to interpret, but he's had prior ankle injury before. I think it's a re-aggravation of a low ankle sprain. There may be some posterior components or as it rotates around the back of the ankle. We'll see. I would expect this to be a pretty quick recovery for Will, though. I'm thinking 1 to 2 weeks, but we're going to have to watch this one again. I think it's going to be pretty quick.
Hopefully we can get Will Anderson back out there as soon as possible. The Texans are losing weapons on both ends in the field every single week. We got Chris Olave, wide receiver for the Saints, out with a concussion. The tackle looked absolutely terrible. I'm going to be honest. He was on the field looking not, barely alive, to be honest with you. I'm going to keep it honest. It looked very bad. But luckily, he did tweet that he was doing really well. The Saints are feeling really good about how his health is going to be. Health matters. Hope we can get Chris Olave back out there as soon as possible. This is not the first concussion that he's had. Tyler, looking at Drake London from the Falcons, how are we feeling about his hip injury?
Yeah, well, J-Rock, he suffered a hip pointer this weekend. The team is saying he's day-to-day, but to me, that's a little bit less of the issue. The real issue is that, from our stats at the Predictors, that if a wide receiver does not miss a game for a hip injury, they tend to drop off 30-plus yards that next game. If they sit out even a game or more, they tend to be about even to those pre-injury levels. So it might be beneficial for those Falcons and their medical staff to keep him out, let him heal. He's obviously a big piece of that Falcons offense. He's had 50 receptions, 552 yards through 9 weeks, which is tied for second in the NFL amongst receivers. But they play the Saints this week, and they play the Broncos in week 11. So if he isn't able to play, then Mooney, Pitts, and Bijan Robinson are going to have to step up. But I think they should keep him out at least one game while they play the Saints and then let him come back fully healthy.
Thanks for that, Ty. Hopefully we can get Drake London back out there as soon as possible. We also got A.J. Brown, wide receiver for the Eagles. He did leave the Jags game with a knee injury. Doc, when you see a player come back out looking like they're ready to come into the second half strong, but then he goes back into the locker room after halftime, what's your thoughts on something like that?
Yeah, this is a soft tissue sprain. We're thinking some type of capsule, maybe a small tweak is something he's had pre-existing. He's been around the league a long time, so he knows how to handle his knee, knows when it's going to be good or not good. Obviously, additional testing imaging will help us. The team's being pretty tight-lipped about his injury, so we're going to have to follow this one. Check it out at the Predictors.
Let's follow it. Hopefully, A.J. Brown can get back out there as soon as possible as well. Tyler, let's head over to Cowboy Country again. We got CeeDee Lamb. I know they are not happy to see what's going on with him. Possible AC joint sprain. Can you give us a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so AC joint sprain, they're saying he's day-to-day, so another wide receiver who's day-to-day, and he has the chance to suit up this Sunday versus the Eagles. Now, what we know about AC joint sprains and wide receivers, that on average, they can miss 2 to 3 games. Now, obviously, this depends on the severity. They're saying he may suit up this weekend. I could see him sitting out, especially with Dak Prescott having an injury as well. It might make more sense just to let them sit out, let them heal. We see that when they sit out, they can drop even 10% in snap percentage their first game back. And it takes 2 to 3 games to get back to those pre-injury levels. Doc, AC joints, something you've dealt with a million times. We've even talked about it on this show before. He's a wide receiver. Now, we saw Jordan Mason, running back for the 49ers, deal with this and have to leave a couple games because he tried to play through it. Do we see the same thing happening if CD tries to play through it, or maybe a little bit different?
I think it might be a little bit different, Tyler. I think we'll see him play this week against the Eagles. This gets injected in the locker room, AC joint sprain, as long as it's not super high grade. Keep in mind there's 6 grades of injury when this collarbone can come up. We have 6 different classifications. Injections help a ton. Padding, Kevlar, taping, all kinds of stuff. This is something he can come back with next week, but it's really about pain, performance, and just feeling how his arms can overall move through this AC joint injury. I think we'll see him, but I think he's going to be down a little bit this first game back, Tyler.
Thanks for that, Doc. We also got Kenyon Green, guard for the Texans. He just officially got put on IR with a shoulder injury. Doc, a guard with a shoulder injury, do you think he's going to be able to come back next season? They're saying, is this going to be Kenyon Green's last snap?
IR with a shoulder injury usually means with a guard, guess what you're doing all day long is that shoulder's pushing backwards. The thing we see all the time is what we call posterior shoulder instability, or what we call a labrum tear in the back of the shoulder. It gets injured, and you just can't block and push because you lose the stability of that shoulder joint. And so when you're in that position on the line, you're always pushing forward. You're putting a ton of stress on the back of that shoulder, called posterior shoulder instability. A lot of times these need surgery. You got to fix the labrum. But the good news is you actually come back really well. We've studied this in the NFL. We published on it. After posterior shoulder or labrum repair, if this is indeed what he's going to get, we should see him back really well next season.
Thanks for that, Doc. And we're going to head right into our returners who return from injury on week 9. Go! All right, Zajac, we got Jordan Love coming back from an injury as well. How did he look this week based on the data?
Yeah, J-Rock. So Jordan Love returned with a groin injury against the Lions. Obviously, they took that loss. He had 273 yards passing, but his mobility was definitely hindered. Not much. He's someone that you see that extends plays. He rushes when he has to. He definitely stayed a little bit more in the pocket, couldn't throw a touchdown, and actually threw an interception. So definitely not the game he wanted, especially against an in-division rival and a great team in the Lions. But hopefully he can now take some more time, recover, and really come back better than ever next game.
Yeah, he's coming. I mean, I'm surprised they played him, Tyler. I mean, I get it, but a rain game where you got to be more mobile, there's going to be less passing, less completions. You're relying more on that run game in that massive rainstorm. They had a bye week coming up. He would have had 2 weeks more of rest. I don't know. I would have rested him. I'm kind of shocked they played him. But again, you're playing the Lions, huge game. They wanted to be there. I'm sure he wanted to play. But again, our data stands the test of time on him. I know he's superhuman, but guess what? His performance followed the data.
That performance follows the data. When you're running to play, you got to go in there and play hard. But in a raining game coming off an injury, it's going to be hard to play at your highest level. Nate, we got TJ Hawkinson, tight end for the Vikings. He actually tore his ACL last year on Christmas Eve. It was his first game back. How'd he do?
Yeah, J-Rock, he returned to a limited role, which is probably a good idea. He had his first practice back was October 4th. So they gave him about a month to come back full contact. And Doc, if you have TJ Hawkinson on your fantasy bench, are you going to be confident that he can return to a pre-injury level?
Yeah, so our data, again, Nate, on this shows it takes 9 to 10 months to return from ACL, especially a position like him. When you come back, you're still looking at another 4, 6, 8 games, depending on your position, till you're getting up to that pre-injury level, and you almost don't get it back until early in your second year back after ACL injury. Believe it or not, he's going to have a season of ups and downs here, and I don't think very good performance.
Hopefully TJ can actually not worry about that knee and show the world that, you can come back stronger after an ACL. And we're going to get right into people who are returning in week 10. DK Metcalf, after the week 10 bye, he's trending towards playing week 9, but they chose to keep him out. Tyler, do you think keeping DK Metcalf out was the right move?
I do. It obviously affected the Seahawks on the long ball, really to be able to stretch the field down. But to be totally honest, Jackson Smith-Njigba did a great job stepping in. He caught a ton of passes, a couple touchdowns. So at the end of the day, I think it was the right decision. You're paying the guy a ton of money. He's your top receiver. Let him heal. Get him back when he's fully healthy.
Let's get DK back out there. Tyler, I'm going to throw it right back to you here. The people want to hear about Christian McCaffrey. Let's get a hot update. What's going on with him?
Oh, this is a big one. This is the one everyone has been waiting for. A lot of people took him 1 in fantasy because we had no idea what was going on. And to be honest, I think a lot of people still don't know what's going on with Christian McCaffrey. It was called a calf and then bilateral Achilles tendonitis. Of course, he went to Germany, saw a specialist there. I would assume that was for some either PRP or stem cell BMCC type stuff, which, Doc, you could tell us a little bit more about and how that's going to help his tendonitis. But ultimately, they opened up his practice window this week, and they're expecting him to return this week after that week 9 bye they just had. This is huge, not only for fantasy owners of Christian McCaffrey, but the 49ers in general, because they've obviously been dealing with Brandon Ayuk's injury, Deebo Samuel's going in and out with his injuries, Jordan Mason, who stepped in and did a decent job for CMC, but now, of course, has the AC joint injury. So they really need their star guy back, and they need him healthy. We know that they use Christian McCaffrey for a lot on that offense. He runs, he catches, he even passed, and thrown a couple touchdowns. So he is, some might say, overused. And of course, we know tendonitis, Doc, that is a chronic injury, and overuse is only going to make that worse. So we hope he's fully back healthy and able to really give what we know Christian McCaffrey can to this offense.
So why do players go to Germany? Very interesting. Here in the United States, we love the field of orthobiology, especially for NFL players. We do a ton of it. We do a ton of, in all of our patients of all ages now, platelet-rich plasma, bone marrow aspirate. Basically, what you're doing is concentrating, quote-unquote, stem cells. The problem in the United States, we can't concentrate it. We have an FDA regulation where anything we take out of your body has to be minimally manipulated before we put it back in. What can you do in Germany? Manipulate it further. And so that's why he can get a concentrated dose of probably bone marrow aspirate, maybe PRP, but he's going all the way to Germany. It's probably bone marrow. It's a little bit more bang for the buck and a little bit more potent, but he's getting it concentrated to treat this tendonitis. Very good as an anti-inflammatory agent, very good to help with the healing, very good to help the tissues heal. So certainly know why they go. We've sent a number of players out there as well that believe in this product, and we'll see how he comes back. He's got a long road because it's not just Achilles from what I hear. I think there's also some calf strain issues, some other things going on, but everyone's going to be watching him really closely.
It's going to be a long road for Christian McCaffrey, but hopefully there is a light at the end of that tunnel. Thanks for tuning into episode 10 of the Health Matters Predictors podcast. We've navigated the ups and downs of week 9, and I hope you're ready for the action of week 10. CeeDee Lamb can come back as early as this week. How is he going to play? That's up in the air. Kenyon Green could see himself coming back stronger next season, and Christian McCaffrey has a long road to recovery, but hopefully those German scientists and doctors were able to get him as strong as he can be. Be sure to join us next week for more insights, predictions, and elite vibes. Until then, stay tuned, stay safe, and may your fantasy team thrive. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @thepredictors_ and visit our website, thepredictors.com, for all your NFL needs. Each week brings a new opportunity, and soon you'll be able to get your own Predictors merch. Until next time.
Go!